If you don't want to watch this film, that's totally okay because you're free to do whatever you want. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a brand new theatrical release, Free Guy. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it or if you were planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Free Guy. This stars Ryan Reynolds as Guy, a bank teller who discovers that he's actually a non-playable character inside a brutal open-world video game. This is directed by Shawn Levy, best known for the Night at the Museum trilogy, and it's from a script by Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn. And it's finally here. After a year's worth of delays due to the pandemic, this movie has finally seen the light of day. I think I've seen the trailer for this more times than I can count, with all the times it would play, getting teed up for its new release date, only for it to get moved at the last second, probably being one of the films that was pushed back the most amount of times. And truthfully, having seen the trailer as many times as I did, I gotta admit, I was kind of over this going in, and I hadn't even seen the movie yet. I mean, I like Ryan Reynolds, and I didn't think this was going to be bad, but given all the delays and that Shawn Levy's output can be hit and miss, my expectations were significantly lowered with each successive delay. So maybe it's because of those lowered expectations that I found myself pleasantly surprised. I had much more of a good time with this than I was expecting to. It's the definition of summer blockbuster entertainment. While it actually has a bit more to say than it lets on, it's mostly a light, breezy film that knows what it is and just wants its audience to have a good time with it. First and foremost, this is just a visual treat, with much of the film taking place within a video game and with its emphasis on playing up video game culture, it's chock full of little references. In this game known as Free City, the way to distinguish between non-playable characters and playable characters is that those who are playable will be wearing sunglasses. And when we see Guy take the sunglasses and put them on, we'll see the elaborate details of a player's dashboard, with menus, stats, maps, and all sorts of things. Plus, we'll see these sequences sometimes played via Twitch streams and other characters' YouTube channels, with cameos by actual streamers on both platforms. It's essentially like a version of Ready Player One, except for video games, and it's worth noting that Penn was one of the screenwriters for that film. And whenever characters are in action, there's such detail to all the visuals, with them activating power-ups, performing elaborate punches, kicks, jumps, and whatever weapons they have at their disposal. And there's almost always something going on, at least in terms of its visual flair. So it makes its action scenes fun, both for the fact that we're invested in the characters, as well as for all the intricate details added that I'm sure gamers especially will love. This is probably going to be one of those films that, when you go back to rewatch it, there will be so many things you'll be able to pick up on. But its emphasis on visuals isn't to the point of obnoxious. Like, it does have a lot of pizzazz to it, which it utilizes heavily, and rightfully so, considering film is a very visual medium. But it doesn't go all in on its visual aesthetic at the expense of its story or its characters, which I was both very happy about and surprised by. Now, when this isn't too busy being like another Ready Player One, it's taking some cues from other films like The Truman Show and The Matrix, obviously with its story elements centered around someone who discovers the world as they know it is all a lie. And it handles the themes of what one person would do when confronted with that revelation a lot more delicately than I was expecting. Now, to be clear, this isn't consistently the deepest or most profound movie out there. For the most part, it does play a lot of things for laughs and tries not to let itself get too bogged down in melodrama, but you still want to be able to connect with characters on some level in order to have a successful movie. So here, the few times it goes all in on its more emotional moments, it packs a punch, especially when it touches upon the notion of having meaning in your life, doing so in a very heartfelt way. And what I really appreciated is that it didn't just let Reynolds have all the sweeter moments, because it does a solid job of fleshing out each of its side characters, mainly Jodie Comer as Millie, who gave easily my favorite performance in the film. She lights up the screen every time she appears, giving us what's essentially two different performances. The actual Millie, who's very sweet, as well as her in-game avatar, Molotov Girl, who is very bad badass and commanding. And in both cases, I thoroughly enjoyed all of her scenes. But in addition to her, you had Joe Keery as a developer named Keys, who was likable enough, and even Lil Rel Howery as Guy's best friend Buddy was given more to do than I was expecting, because at first he comes off like he's just going to have this one-note role as the comedic relief and nothing more. But you do get to dig a bit deeper into his thought process in a couple of instances, and given what he had to say, I found his scenes very heartwarming. Though while this does have a solid cast who for the most part gets plenty to do, Reynolds is still front and center here, and he was honestly pretty solid overall. Now, it's essentially him doing a shtick that he's used to, because the thing with Reynolds is, when he's not doing the Deadpool routine, he'll also go for the charming everyman persona, which he did a lot in his earlier films, like all of his romantic comedies. And it's something that works well enough for him here, and for those who are big fans of Reynolds to begin with, this will give them everything they wanted, as he's able to convey just how likable Guy is with ease, and he can be very funny by taking on more of an innocent but hyperactive persona, remaining very committed to having such a cheery worldview the entire time. So he, along with Comer, helped make this a consistently enjoyable time. Though it's worth noting that, with most of its emphasis on just having a good time and not taking things too seriously, that does lead to some issues here and there. Like, in this film's interest of keeping things simple and not overly convoluted, at times it does lead to a number of major plot points, mainly towards the end, getting resolved a bit too neatly, and some of its attempts at being inspirational do come off as a little corny. The one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way especially is the fact that it often cut to various people all around the world watching streams of Free City. But it's like such a worldwide phenomenon that large swaths of people will stop literally everything they're doing, and everyone in all these public places are gathered around to watch these big moments involving our characters on a screen. And it's a little cheesy. I mean, I know when things are a cultural phenomenon, you really feel how people come together. Like, remember those first few months of Pokemon Go? I mean, that was something else. But even that paled in comparison to the way everyone treats Free City here. It felt like it was even bigger than the Super Bowl at times, and I don't know, it was one of those things that was just a bit too cheesy for me. Could just be a personal preference and nothing more, but that just kept sticking out to me. But my one big criticism is one that kinda pains me to say, and that's Taika Waititi as the villain, Antoine. Now, I love Taika Waititi. He's an excellent director, and he's given himself his fair share of very funny roles in his own films. I know he's someone who can act and can be very funny in front of the camera, usually through a lot of quirky mannerisms. And as Antoine, that's what he tries to do here, but just kicked up a notch. He's supposed to be this parody of a tech bro, almost, with really silly mannerisms, and he speaks all the right lingo, but he's also a rich jerk who openly treats his employees badly. But he'll usually do so in what's supposed to be a sort of funny way. And you can have funny villains in movies. There have been plenty. But while Waititi is normally a funny guy, his shtick here just doesn't work for me. The thing is, once you remove the weird mannerisms and odd delivery, you realize he's nothing more than a one-note character, and that one note is that he's really unlikable. So the whole persona is him finding funny ways to say unlikable things. His horrible actions do add to the main character's arcs, mainly Millie's, and it does all come together in the end, so there's that. But as far as his actual personality, it gets annoying, to be honest. I really did not want to say that because I normally like what he has to offer, but for me, it just doesn't work here. Every so often, there's a line that gets me, like during a scene where he uses Kentucky Fried Chicken as an analogy, and he ends it with talking about Albuquerque boiled turkey. I thought that was pretty good, but he missed more often than he hit for me, which is at least in contrast with the movie as a whole, which hits more than it misses. Free Guy is surprisingly a lot more fun than I was expecting it to be, and its emphasis on having fun is its biggest charm. It's the definition of a solid summer blockbuster, with a nice mix of action-packed visual moments and really funny sequences parodying gaming culture. Though while it doesn't get too melodramatic, it actually does have a bit more to say in terms of its emotional elements, with some nicely done scenes about finding meaning in your life that I honestly wasn't expecting. So, anchored by a charismatic performance by Ryan Reynolds, along with a solid supporting cast, I'd say this one's definitely worth a watch. Free Guy gets a 7.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Free Guy, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Was it one of your favorite Ryan Reynolds movies? Was it one of your favorite video game themed movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.